In this video, we will talk about the print. What is it and how we could use and when we could use in Python. Print is a function that helps us to represent some text in our Python console. This text could be something that we just write or a value from our parameter. If we are not sure what is behind of some parameter, what exactly it's a setup like a value, we just could print this parameter, and in our console you will see the actual value behind this parameter. That could be one of the purpose to use print. Or if we want to debug our application, that potentially could help us to debug it properly, especially when we are beginners, when we are doing our first step in Python and still don't know how to use debugger and how we could use the Wogger library. But yeah, but that is something that we will discuss in separate videos and I will show you for sure. But just for now, like a beginners, let's just start it with the print function. For those of you that have some experience in Python, you could find out in my demos some nice tips and tricks regarding the print, but that it's up to you. Let's see how you will find it out, like tricks and tips. For those of you that are just beginners, first, if you don't know how to install Python and which kind of environments you could use to write your Python code, in my YouTube channel you will find out a playlist that it's with videos regarding the Python basic, and yeah, for sure in this list you could find out whole videos that you need to set up that. If you already watched this kind of videos, let's start it with the demo part. First you could watch what I exactly do, and definitely after that you could try my examples on your own computer to train and see how they are actually working. That is my suggestion, and in the end of the video I will give you uh, one little task that could help you to test what you learned from the video and so on. Let's start with the first cell. Um, just briefly will explain you why I decided to use in my demo Jupyter Notebook, not PyCharm. It's because in PyCharm, if we run the whole rows of this demo, you will see in the console the whole results, but yeah, it's little hard to figure out exactly which row it's connected with which code, with which yeah, which with from this file, which prints are related with which results to say. For that reason, I prefer for the beginning steps to use Jupyter Notebook, because here per cell you could see the actual result really easy and descriptive. In first cell, I just print message. Let's try to explain you little more regarding the use cases with one example. If we set up a parameter, a equal to 5, b equal to 10, and we want to have a result that it's equal a plus b, what this code do? We have two parameters. First parameter name is a, the second parameter name is b. The value for first parameter is 5, for the second it's 10, and the result 5 plus 10 is 15. That is the result parameter value. And if you want to be sure that everything is gonna well and first two rows of our code are actual run and work fine. If we don't have a print, if I comment it and run this cell, I will not see anything because there is not any function that told to Python to display something, to represent something like a result. That is just code that it's working, but we are not actually sure what exactly happened. Seems to work because, yeah, we don't have any error, but I want to know when some part of my code is actually run or not. For that reason, I just will print here step, show me step 1. If step 1 that it's to set up our parameters it's done, I will see this message, see. And the second print, that just will print our result parameter. See, two use cases. First, it's to debug, to see how it's progress my code. The second is just to see what is the behind of some parameter, what exactly is the value behind of result. I hope this to help you to figure out and understand little more about the use cases. And now let's go across our tricks, tips and tricks here. The first one of them, it's if we want to mark our text with different colors, we could use extra library. In our case, this library it's Kurama, which will mark our first print text with blue color and the second with red one. Why and how? Why we could use that actually? If we want to mark in our code really clear and on invisible way that step 1 is done, step 2, and to have difference between the steps, because if there are 10 and we have 10 rows here, uh, like first looking will not be so descriptive to say, but if I have 10 different colors, for sure I will know that 10 steps are passed, and cool if I know that the 5th step it's for example green and have green color. This really will be easy for me to see that this step is just passed. The next cell is about the Unicode characters. Sometimes we could find out them in a code, but this not actually present to us what it's behind of this code. For that reason, we just could print the code and see what is the actual sign behind of it. The next example is just to write some values and to print them. Like a separator between the values, we just put a comma to mark that are separate values, separate stuff that we put in our print function. Doesn't matter that the separate it's a comma. By default, when we print bunch of values, the actual separator in our Python console it's a space. We could change that actually. Um, here in the last cell you could see how we could do that. I mean, we replace the space with separator that we wish to use in that case, to not use default one, to could just to change it. And as you could see, like a syntax, just write a bunch of values, and like a last parameter in our print, to write sep and to set the value for separator. If we change it with another separator, we will see this new separator here. The next one is how we could concatenate strings. The tricky part here is that we could concatenate not only strings. In our case and example here, it's integer value. X is equal to 10, and that it's integer value. We could concatenate it to our string, but just need first to convert this integer value to string. Only then we could concatenate it. In other words, if I remove str, which is a function that concatenate change the type of our value from integer to string, then what do you think will happen? We will have the error. For this reason, it's important and tricky part here is to use str function, which convert integer value to string. Here it's another syntax to use in our print function when we want to specify the special format. We write a text in place that we want to put our parameters. We put the percent. It's regarding what from which type it's the parameter. For string we put s, percent s. For digit, percent d. How to say that? It's little old school way to insert, to put a parameters in string. The new way, the new syntax to say it's with f string, and how we write it like a syntax. That is the way first we put out of our string f to mark it like a f string, write the text, and in a place that we want to insert our parameters, we just put this kind of brackets and the parameter name on place that we want to be represented. And the last example, but yeah, let's first run this code too to see the actual result for these cells. See it? And in our last example here, it's example and syntax. As you could see here, if we write a print on the standard way, on the standard way, like two separate prints, we will see the result on in two new ones. But if we add a parameter and doesn't matter what we will put like a value on that parameter, we will see the result in our two prints in one line, not in two new lines, just in one line. If in the end of the first print we want to put some other sign, for example plus, why not, then what actually will happen? Yes, that's right. We will have hello plus world. This parameter say what to be in the end of our first print instead of new wine, to replace the new wine sign with something that we just write it. I hope you like this video. To find out like something new, positive and interesting for you. If that's right, subscribe to my channel if you are still not, and click on the countdown button to be informed for my next video. The challenge now in the end of the video that I promised you in the beginning is to print your name. First try to print your name. That's could say it's your first task. Your second task is to print your name and age, but the name and age to be parameterized. I mean, if you want to print the name of your friend and the age of your friend, you could change these parameters, and when you run it the code to see your friend name and your friend age. If you want to see the name of your mm, um, parents, for example, why not? And them age to be the same. Change with them names and them age, and just run it again and again to see how um, how the result will be changed. And yeah, if you want to play with that and to try to work on these tasks, I will be happy to put uh, your code on the comments of that video. And yeah, and you could put your code with not your real name and real age, because it's not necessarily just put and change with another names and age to see how the print working and to train yourself. Keep learning, keep develop yourself, and I will see you in the next video.